This week, John and Peter are away. I've got my good friend Mikey here to help talk about maybe not so political things, but maybe a little bit. In fact, we're going to start with a good political story today. Treasure trove of gun owners' private information leaked by California Attorney General on today's Not So Critical update. You know, I do my best to really play it down the middle on this show. Very seldom bring up politics, Mikey. I think that's one of the things that you like about the show.
Yes, there's no political connotation thrown on ever. That's why I watch every day, every week.
Yeah.
Mike and I disagree politically, but are friends otherwise. So he likes to throw me under the bus when the opportunity presents itself.
I do. It's I wish you would do the Not So Political podcast with me. That would be awesome. Not so political update.
Maybe one day,
but we won't do it today. However, borderline maybe. So there were actually a couple stories that we're going to group together. One that we talked about this week is this massive treasure trove of gun owners' private information leaked by a California Attorney General. So they had set up some kind of a portal for tracking registrations, and that was breached.
Well, I wouldn't call it breached. It sounded like they just didn't put a password on. Like
true,
the website is down. The website is down now, so you can't go there. But the data was already leaked, and it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe you read, but I didn't understand how the data was gathered. Like somebody could have just viewed source, and there was a database link that you could download. It sounded like it was super easy to get this list of thousands of people. Doesn't even say how many.
That was the sense that I got too, that it was breached in the same sense that the Missouri Department of Education site was breached by a reporter who did view source. Right. Probably not a lot more complicated than that. So you made a comment that that shit didn't happen by accident. And I was trying to think through that, right? Because I thought, well, what's the logic of that? How does that play out? California leaked the addresses of people who have guns to people who don't have guns, so that people who don't have guns could go to the homes of people who have guns, thereby putting their own lives at risk.
I didn't totally get that. That was a very confusing synopsis, but right. I mean, I think the point is people bad expose bad people, and it's not unlike the state of California to do that for political things that they disagree with, guns being very, very near the top of that list.
Yeah. And I will admit, when I first read the headline, I thought, good. but I'm not on board with it. I'm totally against this. This is not good. That's as far as I'm willing to go. No, it's terrible. No, they shouldn't be leaked. It does create real problems. Should I think gun ownership should be restricted? Absolutely. Do I think we should leak the information illegally of gun owners? No, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, privacy is, it's a sanctimonious thing in all cases, whether it's someone who had an abortion, or someone who owns a gun, or someone who likes boating or fishing or skiing or whatever.
Interesting you mentioned that. So this was, I don't know if this happened more recently. We had actually done on this show 2 previous stories. One about information being sold from period tracker applications. Another we had talked about was how data brokers are selling location data from people who visited abortion clinics. So, and it's an interesting case because it's not really a HIPAA violation. A healthcare provider's not sharing your information, although we did a story last week, I think, or maybe 2 weeks ago, about health providers having the Facebook tracking pixel on the site that was then sending information back to Facebook about what kinds of procedures you were booking, what pages you were visiting. So highly problematic. But in this case, you've got two groups. You've got the crisis pregnancy centers that are not healthcare providers, and then you've got just location tracking information from which you can see, hey, somebody visited this location, then they went to a pharmacy, then they went home, so we will just infer that they had some procedure. Not good.
Yeah,
Not good.
I mean,
All of it's
it's
not
terrifying. Like these are like activist organizations that are, asking very seemingly generic questions, but that those answers get funneled into a database, and sounds like your name and your personal details are associated with these answers. But it doesn't even stop at these abortion and anti-abortion clinics. Like it's all over the healthcare industry, and anything that is closer related to government, they ask you questions that seem like they don't need to know the answers to. So like I have a young son, and he's getting like immunizations and whatnot. And there's all these questions, and they're like designed in a way to see like if we're beating our child or if he's neglected in some way. And you can feel a hint of it. And you're like, why would you ask me that? That's a very odd question. Like, this is a child that's getting a routine health checkup, but they have all these questions, and they'll ask you, and these are the same situations. Now the story I'm talking about was an actual healthcare facility, but these the crisis pregnancy center is like a nonprofit activist group. So I'll say this is as political as I will get. If you have a situation where you are pregnant, an unwanted pregnancy, do not go to random people at a random facility. Talk to your parents, your family, your trusted adults, teachers, whoever. Do not go to a random place full of strangers that are asking you weird questions.
Agreed. Totally agreed. And I think, we both agree on both of these cases. Don't do it at crisis pregnancy centers. Don't do it on period tracking apps. Don't do it of gun owner registries. Do not share the information. So like in your case with the actual medical facility, like, wouldn't you want doctors to be looking out for that kind of thing?
I mean, sure. but I would think it's pretty obvious. The fact that we even take our child to routine health checkups should be a very serious indicator that we love him and care about him, and will kill ourselves or put ourselves in front of a train to save his life. Like that should be.
Yeah, and that
like,
seems obvious to you. Does it seem obvious to everyone?
It doesn't seem obvious to healthcare providers. I can tell you that for a fact.
Well, but that's like the legal system, right? We don't have laws just because they want more laws. We have laws because people try and do stupid shit to get around them. Like, well, you didn't technically say I couldn't do this. Okay, fine. Now we have to technically say it. And then it just snowballs from there. Like, you don't imagine it's the same thing with healthcare?
I imagine it's certainly related. And it's funny, like, when I was hearing the questions, I was thinking of like articles you see in the newspaper. It's like, report says blah, blah, blah about X. And I'm like, this is how they're getting this damn data.
Yeah. That's
and I personally don't want to have I don't want to be aggregated into data sets. Period. But I do every day. And I imagine some of the other topics we cover this week will be similar nature.
I'm fairly on the record about that, I think. You are being tracked. Mr.
Anti-tracking marketer, ex-marketer.
Anti-tracking. Wait a minute. Who are we talking about?
You. I thought you hate tracking, love privacy. Yeah, you know how to do all the devious things. Like you could probably told me that my wife was pregnant before we knew.
I think you have me confused with somebody else.
Oh, okay.
I am not against tracking. My goat. Does that really surprise you? You didn't know that?
No, I did not know that. I thought it was the opposite. Is it Peter that always argues against tracking?
Yes. No, Peter's pro tracking.
Really?
Since he's not here to defend himself.
When are you guys going to invite me so I can hear it from the horse's mouth from Peter and John?
I want Peter to watch this recording and just be screaming like, "No, I hate tracking! What are you doing?" saying. Peter is pro-tracking, anti-privacy. I'll just speak on his behalf. It's fine.
Yeah, totally.
No, Peter is very much pro-privacy, anti-tracking. We actually have a story that we're going to do a couple days from now about the benefits of not tracking. And spoiler alert, I'm not buying it. So we'll see. We'll get there when we get there.
Back up to the first story. The gun owners. I think it was like concealed carry. Card holders, like information leaked.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny how they called out how many judges they found, how many custodial officers, etc. So I looked up how many judges are in California. There's about 1,800, and there was 244 judges were in this data set that all had concealed carry permits, which is about 14% of judges in California have issued themselves basically concealed carry permits. And it's funny that, that's like what's good for thee, but not for me type of stuff.
Why
Only 14%,
do
not huge. Because why does a state that believes guns are evil in almost all forms allow their judges to carry firearms?
Well, the judges are following the same law as everyone else, and they're presumably approving these applications for others just as they are for themselves.
Sure.
So are you would you have me believe that California should just staff its entire judiciary with nothing but liberal judges? That's what you're advocating for? Or you're surprised it's not already that way? What's the...
Are you saying that the 244 are not liberal judges?
Oh, that's
clearly not liberal judges.
That's a fair point.
I would argue that the socialists believe in gun ownership as well as conservatives or whatever.
Yeah. Would it shock you to know that I love guns?
Do you? Nice.
Yeah, I'm a former Marine. I love shooting. Shooting's a blast. I don't have an AR-15, but I 100% would. However, I do believe in much tighter controls than we have now.
All right. Next story.
I know. Yeah, I had one more thing I was going to say. Totally slips my mind. We'll just end it there. I could cut out the last bit, or I could just leave it in. I guess we'll find out when I do the editing.
That was perfect.